Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center, and in this bag right here, I have got the most popular new knives of 2021. Let's check them out. So can we take a minute and talk about this bag real quick? A little zero tolerance bag. You can hold a lot of knives in here. Padded, very nice. But it's what's inside the bag that counts. And before we get into the list, I do have to lay out the ground rules so that you guys aren't screaming at me in the comments. New knives only in this case right here. Nothing that existed previously. Unless it's a new knife in a pre-existing series, but we're only gonna count the numbers of those new knives that have been sold. And we are going by numbers of knives sold for this list. So this is a list essentially voted on by you guys with your dollars out there. So don't come after me if your favorite one's not on here. It's your guys' fault. Other little bit of ground rules is we're gonna exclude a few things like sprint runs, even if they were a big one, limited edition stuff, and our exclusives as well. Because we're the only place you can get our exclusives, kind of distorts the picture a little bit. But I'm gonna show you a couple of those exclusives as a bonus option or kind of bonus picks, because I've got 4 here, new releases this year that sold numbers that would have put them on this top 10 list otherwise. So let's start with the first one of those. No peeking, Thomas.
I have no idea what's in there.
Oop, I gotta go to the other side. Pardon me.
It's like when you open your rifle bag wrong at the range.
So the first knives, our Hogue, or SIG K320 models made by Hogue, available in a Tanto or a drop point blade. And these are the Knife Center's the only place you can get these knives with a stone washed finish. All the other versions are coated. Cool thing about that is, I know a lot of folks out there, myself included, we'd rather not have a coating. We'd rather have the plain coated or uncoated blade. And the price comes in a little bit less expensive than the coated versions too. We're like $119 on these guys. Really awesome knives, right about 3.5 inches on the blade, S30V, that really nice tumbled finish, which is gonna wear quite nicely over time. Synthetic handles, really cool deep carry pocket clip on these guys. I really like what they did by adding some ridges essentially on the outer edge. So it's gonna be easier to extract in a hurry, which sometimes can be a bit of a hindrance on other deep carry pocket clips. You've also got 4 mounting positions for that pocket clip. Also really cool. And choice of the 2 blade shapes is really great. The feel in the hand is really good. You've got that choil to choke up if you want finer control over the tip. All in all, super solid, made in the USA without costing an arm and a leg. All right, next up, the next best-selling exclusive for us this year, the Ontario Rat 1 in D2 steel with Knife Center exclusive micarta handles. And the genesis of these was essentially, you've got the Ontario folders and you've got the Ontario and the SE fixed blades, but you've never had one of the folders that looked exactly like some of the fixed blades out there. So we thought, let's make it happen. So by adding the micarta and going with the black coated blade, although you can also get a satin version, it just felt so right. And the fact that we're able to sell these for about just under 50 bucks too, makes it a really good deal for the materials you're getting here. Micarta, this much of it, I mean, you've got 2 really big slabs for a folding knife of this price coming in there. D2 blade, like I said, about 3.6 inches, slightly different from the original. There's a little bit more drop to the spine on these guys. I actually like the shape even better than the original. And that all came down to production schedules in the factory they used to build these particular versions. They came out so nice. It's got the same good feel in the hand that you know and love, except with the niceness of that micarta, which of course is gonna get a little bit grippier when it gets wet. You can dye it a bunch of different colors. You can do some mods on it, just like any good rat of old. Super solid knife for anyone heading outdoors or anyone who just needs a solid beater knife that is going to be able to soak up some abuse without breaking your budget. Really cool knives. Next up on the exclusives list, the CJRB Ria. Really cool little knives. We had a couple versions of these out last year in 2021, but several new variants landed, or sorry, last year was 2020.
I forget too.
But several new variants landed this year in 2021 and put up some really impressive numbers. I really like this particular black and orange G10 model. It's a synthetic material, obviously, but it has a bit more of a natural look. Some of them even look a little bit like desert ironwood, depending on how the light hits it. Not this one in particular, but some of them do. 54 bucks for this particular version. Sweet action on these knives. I mean, the blade just pops open when you throw that thumb stud. Got a deep carry pocket clip on this one, although some of our versions have had a milled titanium pocket clip. We've got RPM 9 stainless steel on this guy, offering proprietary steel to CJRB and Artisan Cutlery. They say it offers edge retention something like D2, but easier to maintain and more stainless. We've also got a new version with S35 VN blade steel with some denim micarta handles that landed not too long ago, just a little bit ago. But this guy right here, I think, is probably my personal favorite. I just really dig this out of the 2021 models. It's just a little 3-inch bladed pocket knife. Everything you need for just a basic EDC with kind of the sensibilities of some old school slip joint pocket knives, but all modern. It's its own shape. You've got great materials and, of course, that liner lock as well. All right, this last knife has the benefit of being, or benefit or curse, of being both an exclusive as well as a one and done exclusive. This is not, unlike these other knives, this is not something that's perpetually going to be offered, and that is the Pilar III from Spyderco, all black with the CRU-WEAR blade steel. Really cool knife. I mean, the black theme is carried throughout all the hardware. You've got black pocket clip, black liners, black compression lock, black screws. The only not black parts are essentially the logo markings on the front and back and the edge itself. Really sweet little knife with smooth black G10 in this case. Great action, as you would expect from a Pilar III. What's to say? I mean, it's a Pilar III. We know them, we love them. And these were gone really, really quickly. But actually, showing this particular Spyderco with its CRU-WEAR blade brings up a point I didn't mention at the beginning, or a caveat for ranking this list. We are only counting shipped knives. We're not counting unshipped pre-orders at this point. And for some of you who pre-ordered a certain Spyderco way at the beginning of the year, and unfortunately they've only started arriving at dealers within the last month and a half or so, Spyderco's CRU-WEAR bladed, micarta handled Paramilitary 2. If we'd been able to ship all the pre-orders we had on this knife so far, it would be right at the top of this list, or right in contention for the top spots. But as they're still kind of making their way out to customers, I just didn't feel right about counting it for the list here, because obviously pre-order numbers can change as people start, getting it from other places, might have cancellations, that sort of thing. So that's it for the exclusives that would have made it onto this list. Let's get into the list proper. Coming in at number 10, we have a really cool little knife. We have the Kershaw Kapsule, a Jens Anso design. It's a manual OTF knife. Small enough to be a keychain knife, but you do have a deep carry pocket clip there. The cool thing about this style of knife, whether it's manual like this or your double action OTF automatic, is it's a completely ambidextrous knife right here. It essentially works exactly the same without moving a pocket clip around left or right. Obviously it's not double-edged, you just have to orient the blade itself the right way, but how cool is that? 2-inch blade, 1.9 inches to be exact, stone washed finished, 8CR series steel, about 35 bucks on these guys. Looks really cool too. You've got nice blue and silver accents on the handle, some blue there on the side and on the tail bail as well. It's just fun to play with too. And it's fidgety in a different way. I mean, if you're the kind of person who just flicks their knives open all day, definitely get it. So for something a little bit different to play around with, and a nice capable little blade as well. All right, number 9, the Benchmade Adamas, full size. Benchmade relaunched the entire Adamas series this year. It'd been a bit over a year since the last versions have been available. revamped ergonomics a little bit, and a CRU-WEAR blade steel, the most important upgrade in addition to that handle feel. And these guys come in about $238 for the standard full-size versions, which is what we're counting for this particular list. It didn't feel right to kind of lump the new fixed blades and the new mini Adamas, which is awesome, by the way. Didn't feel right to kind of lump those together for this list, but the full size still made it onto the list, even without their help. Just a solid, hard use tactical knife, definitely has some combat inspiration. You've got that very tough CRU-WEAR blade steel. You've got automatic versions of this as well as a few different colors. And then of course, you've got my favorite style of lock, the crossbar lock, Benchmade's Axis. Wears in nice and smooth on this particular knife. This is one I actually picked up myself this year. Haven't used it much yet, as you can see though. Put some scars on this bad boy. Hand filling grip, it's more comfortable than the previous versions that came with a D2 blade. Those were a little chunkier, a little blockier. This feels a little nicer. You've got a pocket clip, which is deep carry, quote unquote. You've also got that belt loop or belt pouch that you can use. Just a super impressive hard use knife here that I pretty much knew I was gonna have to have at the beginning of the year. So one of the orders that got it onto this list was mine. All right, coming up at, what number are we at? 8. The size difference between these two knives was pretty funny. You go small to big. We're going back small again. But number 8, we have the CIVIVI Baby Banter, designed by Ben Peterson, of course. The smaller cousin to the original Banter. These guys are really cool. They come in at a price of about, that's my Adamas tab, $60 right here, just under $60. 2.35-inch blade, so it comes in at a very compliant length. You've got Nitro V steel, which is really cool. And you've got a really cool handle too. Obviously looks a little bit like the original Banter in terms of its design language, but it's a more, I don't want to say it's a more thoughtfully designed handle, but it's a little bit harder to do a smaller knife handle than it is a slightly larger knife handle. And kind of in the same way that something like the Spyderco Dragonfly is able to be really small when folded up, but still maintain pretty much a 4-finger grip, or in this case for me about a 3.5, but a fullish grip nonetheless by using the finger choil here at the front, kind of crossing between the heel of the blade and the front edge of the handle. Works really nicely. There's a few different colors of G10 available. You've got the liner lock, you've got ball bearings in the pivot, which lets it pop open quite nicely. Deep carry pocket clip, which is reversible on this guy. Wasn't the case on the original Banter. Just a solid little utility knife and a great place if someone wants to spend a little bit of money on a nicer knife, but they're not really like a super into it knife person yet, need something kind of small and easy to use. Definitely a very good choice right here. All right, coming in number 7, we actually have another CIVIVI, and that is the Elementum Tanto, which was of course released this year. This guy right here, this particular one, coming in just over $52 right now. So a couple bucks more than the old G10 versions, because in this case you've got micarta on this guy. But of course, it's the Elementum. There's going to be a bunch of different handle options available. There already are a few right now. But you've got all the things that made the Elementum such a desirable knife in a Tanto blade here. You've got your 3-inch blade of D2 steel, high flat grind in this case rather than a hollow grind on the original, but a little more piercing capability, a little more scraping capability built into the front of this blade. You've got that neutral handle shape, about a 3.5-finger grip for me again. It's actually a good point of comparison between that and the Baby Banter there. If I line the two up, they've essentially got the same amount of grip, usable grip length between the two. Kind of cool. So, but if you're going for something smaller in the pocket, you've got that option. But if you want a little more blade, you've got the Elementum to take a look at right here. Ball bearings in the pivot. I mean, CIVIVI does that so well at this price range. The flipper works great. You've got a deep carry pocket clip. Not reversible, single-sided, liner lock. Just a fantastic little budget knife. All right, number 6 now, we have a new CRKT, the Pilar III. from Jesper Wagner's, of course. Really cool knife here. There's a more budget-oriented and even more budget-oriented version, and you have the more premium version here, which is still pretty budget-oriented at just under 50 bucks. The D2 bladed version right here has sold exceptionally well too. Really nice. Also, with a blade just under 3 inches, more usable grip length than something like that Elementum. Sorry, let me line it up a little better. Really cool here. Slightly bigger than the Elementum tip to tail. More grip length thanks to that finger choil up front, and about the same amount, maybe even slightly more sharpened edge length between the two knives right here. Really cool. You've got G10 on the front, frame lock, stainless steel on the back, deep-ish carry pocket clip, and a brass backspacer on the D2 version, which is really cool. And IKBS ball bearings in the pivot. Really fidget friendly for playing around with. You don't get a flipper tab. But the Pilar III, I think the shape of this versus the Pilar, the original Pilar, and the P large, the bigger version, I really like this. It's a little bit sleeker, a little bit less kind of sheep's footy cleaver style of blade. To me, I think this is just going to be even that much more usable day to day. Really cool knife. All right, we're getting into the top 5 now. And number 5 is the AD 20.5 from Andrew Demko. Absolute instant smash hit right out of the gate. 150 bucks for these guys. You've got your sheep's foot blade at just under 3 inches, or a clip point blade that's a little bit longer than that. AUS 10 steel, stone washed finish, slim grivery handles, or is this? Yeah, it is actually grivery. Plastic handles. Standard pocket clip. Actually, does this come with 2 pocket clips? I don't even remember now.
It's been so long.
This is our old sample. We don't have any more on the shelf right now as we're doing this. But I'm pretty sure they come with a pocket clip for the left or the right side. Andrew Demko, of course, very famous for his many, many collaborations with Cold Steel, who does that, double pocket clip thing very well. Striking out on his own now that Cold Steel's ownership has changed hands, and he's chosen his own name to bring out the Shark Lock into production, on a production level knife, I should say. Really cool knife, or a really cool lock, really cool knife too. Longtime viewers of this channel know that I tend to really enjoy locks that allow me to close a blade while keeping my fingers out of the closing path of the edge itself. That's why I like the crossbar locks so much. That's why I like a compression lock as well. You can do that with this guy, and it's super fun to actuate. Very satisfying, some good auditory sounds going on. And the one thing I was worried about was that hump maybe getting in the way of the ergonomics. It doesn't really, actually. It's subtle enough that when you're back here, yeah, it does work like a little bit of a thumb ramp. But when you're choked up, you feel the tip just a little bit there, but it's not so bad that it's much of a problem. I mean, you don't have a full-size finger choil here, so you're not going to be doing that grip super, super often, but you have that capability to do it, and it just works. The sheep's foot blade here especially feels really hard working. It's a good compromise between strength and cutting ability. It's just super awesome. Really excited to see the variants that are going to be on their way, I'm sure, for this knife going forward. In the meantime, super nice. That's number 5. Now, number 4, it's another Benchmade. It's 2 Benchmades lumped together, actually. Fancy Bugouts. That was the story this year. Bugout has always been, essentially marketed as or positioned by Benchmade as an ultralight outdoors knife. Although I tend to think it makes an even better, just lightweight EDC knife. And they've leaned into that this year by releasing more premium versions of it that aren't necessarily intended for outdoor use. First version right here, aluminum handles with a really cool starburst feature going on. For folks who don't like the feeling of the standard Bugout, want something more rigid, this is definitely the top of the production lineup right now. M390 blade, 3¼ inches, thin and slicey, just like the original Bugout. $234-ish for this particular one. And that is joined side by side with the S90V bladed version with a slight stonewashed finish paired with blue accents and a carbon fiber handle. You get the very similar contours to the Grivery versions, only no inlays. So if you like the feel of the original but just wanted more strength, this is the guy. Also, obviously a fancier looking one. The aluminum handled one feels a little bit different. Still feels comfortable, but doesn't have quite the exact same contours. But these guys really put up some impressive numbers this year. One of those orders was mine as well, I do have to admit. Really awesome EDC knives, now more gentlemanly if you're looking for a gentleman's bug out. All right, number 3, coming down to the wire now. This one was probably, I think, the biggest surprise for all of us here at the Knife Center. We thought it was cool when we first saw it, but we did not nearly anticipate just how much this particular knife was going to sell. And that's the Ritual from CRKT, an Alan Foltz design. I mean, this is obviously not a super practical knife right here. This is not super EDC friendly. I mean, you've got, you know, a 4.4-inch blade, aggressively upswept, 12C27, which I like, and you've got a really cool look on the handle, I will admit. That even more than the dramatic blade profile is what kind of grabs me, is the ivory type micarta and the stainless steel with the blue color to accent it. Hard to believe this sold as much as it did. 80 bucks though, you do get a lot of knife, you do get a lot of style for $80 at that point. I mean, it definitely has kind of a look that calls to mind truly custom folding knives, and that's where CRKT has always done really well, is bringing custom knives into a production sphere. They definitely did it here. We also got to see the launch. Actually, let's take a minute. How impressive is that blade when it's folded, or when it's folded up, is this narrow, is this kind of tucked in, but then you have that much blade coming out. Really cool. But we've got an assisted opening system here. Essentially, way back in the day, Ken Onion invented the torsion bar spring assist for Kershaw. They called it Speed Safe. The patent has since run out, so other companies are able to do things with it. And CRKT put their own spin on it. Really easy to use, really great action, and it's the first assist I know of that actually has, it's got a bit of a tuck in when you go to close it. I mean, sometimes the downside of an assisted opener is you have to fight the spring tension a little bit when you're closing. Somehow they've managed to do it on this knife where it's not that much of a deal. It just, watch, there you go. Tucks right back in. Really, really cool knife. We're down to the final 2. And these 2 knives, or these 2 series of knives, however you want to categorize it, far and away the winners. I mean, both of them more than double the Ritual here, but what the numbers that the Ritual pulled up. So by a country mile, these 2 are leading the pack, and they're pretty neck and neck as well. It's kind of coming down to the wire here at the end of the year. And the reason I think, or one of the reasons why this number 2 spot is the number 2 is just availability of inventory right now. I think if we'd had more of these, if we had more of them right now, we'd have sold a few more. Truly impressive numbers nonetheless. Coming in, number 2, and this was a prediction of mine early on that this was going to be a top seller for the year.
Sure it was.
It was. The CRKT CEO Flipper. $40 knife. It's essentially the same price as it is the same price as the original thumb stud version of the CEO, but it's even better in my mind. Not just because there's a flipper tab, which a lot of folks love, and I do too. It's got a bit of an interesting feel as a side note. You kind of push the flipper tab in rather than pull back, but once you get the hang of that, it flips super great. You've also got a tip up deep carry pocket clip, which I prefer to the original tip down pocket clip of the thumb stud version. You've also got AUS 8 steel, which is made in Japan rather than the 8CR series steel on the original. And it feels even more precisely ground to me than the button or the thumb stud version. All while maintaining the same price, which is really cool. Great slender knife, great office knife, and it's not priced expensive. Like I said, it's $40, and it doesn't have fancy materials, but it's very refined in the choices they've made. The handles may be FRN or GRN plastic, but this truly could be a gentleman's knife on a budget, even though you don't have fancy materials. It's just that classy and that usable with this just narrow, slender blade. Everything you really need in just a basic pocket knife in a really cool form factor. But that's number 2. We're here to talk about number 1. Big year this year for these 2 C companies. We've got 3 entries from CRKT on this top 10. And with number 1 here, we've got 3 entries from CIVIVI as well. And you guys put it here at the top, the button lock Elementum. Well, I don't drop it there, check that out. But the Elementum, of course, has been just a runaway success for CIVIVI ever since they introduced it. So we've seen a lot of expansion in the line. The Tanto, original size Tanto knife made it into the list this year. But the button lock version, it's a little bit bigger. We've got a 3.5-inch blade. You've got Damascus options, which is a 9CR based Damascus. You've also got Sandvik's 14C28N as a blade steel option rather than your semi-stainless D2. This one right here is I'm showing you is the best-selling version of the button lock Elementum right now with the Damascus steel and the shredded carbon fiber handle scales. Really definitive look, or distinctive look, I should say, and very CIVIVI as well. They've put out several knives along similar aesthetic veins, so they're really establishing a bit of a visual identity for that, especially with this real heavily dyed or heavily oxidized Damascus that looks really cool. Deep carry pocket clip, which is reversible on this particular knife, which I'm really glad they did, because the button lock is much more ambidextrous than the liner lock on the standard Elementum, which is obviously very right-hand biased, unless you made a dedicated left-hand version. But the way this button lock works is when you push that button down, the blade itself, very free-flowing and very easy to do with the left hand, even for a non-lefty like myself. So your left-handers are gonna have an even easier time. And that brings me to another point. The action on this knife is all about your centrifugal wrist motion, because you have to push that button down to move the blade at all. The blade itself is locked in the closed position until you push that button and flick it open. Really cool knives and really aggressive sellers this year, narrowly beating out that CEO. So that's it. That's our top 10.
Our top 14 of the top 10 of top 5.
You know what I mean.
3.14.
And they know what I mean too. Really cool. I always love looking at these sales numbers at the end of the year, because I mean, we know what's selling well, but we don't really know what's winning until the end of the year when we really take a look at these numbers. Really cool. Let me know what you thought of your picks down in the comments, and heck, let me know what you wish was on this list as well. If you want to get your hands on any of these guys, well, most of them anyway, there will be leave links in the comments for KnifeCenter going.
We got a bot write that again.
While you're over there at the KnifeCenter, make sure you sign up for our Knife Rewards program so you can earn some free money to spend on your next knife when you put your money down on one of these knives today. I'm David C. Anderson from the KnifeCenter, signing off. See you next time.